I should have never opened that door. That's what I keep telling myself, over and over, as I sit here in my new apartment 3 states away. But on Halloween night 2019, I was just a broke college student trying to save money on rent by living alone in a sketchy neighborhood. I thought I could handle anything. I was wrong. My name is Sarah, and I was 21 years old when this happened. I had just moved into this old rental house in Salem, Massachusetts. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Salem on Halloween. Real smart, right? But the rent was cheap and I needed cheap. The house was this creaky 2-story place with peeling white paint and windows that rattled when the wind blew. My landlord, an old guy named Mr. Henderson, told me the previous tenant had left suddenly. He didn't say why. I didn't ask. Halloween fell on a Thursday that year. I had an exam the next morning, so I decided to skip the parties and stay home to study. I bought one of those big bags of candy, the kind with the good stuff, not the cheap Tootsie Rolls. I figured I'd get maybe 20 or 30 trick-or-treaters, hand out some candy, and then focus on my biology notes. The evening started normal enough. Around 6 o'clock, the doorbell started ringing. I opened the door to superheroes, princesses, and tiny zombies. Parents stood at the end of my walkway, waving and smiling. I waved back, dropping candy into pillowcases and plastic pumpkins. It felt good, honestly. Normal. Safe. By 8:30, the flow of kids had slowed to almost nothing. I turned off my porch light, the universal signal that I was done for the night. I locked my front door, double-checked it like I always did, and settled onto my couch with my textbook and a cup of coffee. That's when I heard the first knock, not the doorbell. A knock, slow, deliberate. 3 heavy thuds that echoed through my living room. I looked at my phone. It was 9:47 p.m., way too late for trick-or-treaters. I figured maybe it was some teenagers trying their luck, hoping for extra candy. I ignored it and went back to my studying. The knocking came again. This time harder, more insistent. I felt my stomach tighten, but I tried to stay calm. I walked to the door and looked through the peephole. My porch light was off, so I couldn't see much, just darkness and the faint outline of the trees across the street swaying in the wind. "We're all out of candy," I called through the door. "Sorry." Silence. I waited, listening. Nothing. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding and turned back toward the couch. That's when I heard it. A voice. Soft. Almost a whisper, but clear enough that I heard every word through the door. "Please let me in. I'm lost." It sounded like a child. A little girl, maybe 7 or 8 years old. My heart immediately went out to her. What was a kid doing alone this late on Halloween? Where were her parents? I reached for the doorknob, then stopped. Something felt off, wrong. The voice was too flat. Too emotionless for a scared, lost child. "Where are your parents?" I called out. "They left me. Please. I'm cold. I need help." I stood there, frozen, my hand hovering over the lock. Every instinct in my body was screaming at me. Don't open that door. Don't do it. But what if it really was a lost kid? What if something terrible had happened and she needed help? What kind of person would I be if I just left a child outside in the cold? I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight, then looked through the peephole again. This time I could see her. A little girl in a white dress, standing perfectly still on my porch. Her hair was long and dark, hanging down past her shoulders. She was holding something in her hands. A doll, I think. An old-fashioned one with a porcelain face. But here's the thing that made my blood run cold. She wasn't looking at the door. She was looking directly at the peephole, directly at me, like she knew exactly where I was standing. Like she could see me through the door. Her face was pale. Too pale, and her eyes. God, her eyes were completely black. No whites, no color, just pure darkness. I stumbled backward, my phone clattering to the floor. My heart was hammering so hard I thought it might burst out of my chest. "Please." The voice came again. "I just want to come inside. I won't be any trouble." I ran to my kitchen and grabbed my phone off the counter where I'd left it charging. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely unlock it. I dialed 911, my finger slipping twice before I got it right. 911, what's your emergency? "There's someone on my porch. A child, I think, but something's wrong. She won't leave. She's trying to get me to open the door." The operator's voice was calm, professional. "Are you in immediate danger? Is the door locked?" "Yes, it's locked. But she's just standing there. She keeps asking me to let her in." "Ma'am, I'm sending a unit to your location now. Do not open the door. Stay on the line with me." I crept back to the living room, staying far from the door. The knocking had stopped. Everything was silent. Maybe she had left? Maybe I had imagined the whole thing. "Ma'am, the officers are 2 minutes away," the operator said. "Can you still hear anything?" I was about to say no when I heard footsteps. Not on the porch. They were coming from above me. From the second floor, someone was walking around in my bedroom. I felt every hair on my body stand up. I lived alone. The doors were locked. No one could be upstairs. No one. "There's someone in my house," I whispered into the phone, my voice barely working. "Upstairs. I can hear them walking. The officers are pulling onto your street now. Go outside if you can. Get out of the house." I ran to the front door, my hands fumbling with the locks. I yanked it open and practically fell onto my porch. The little girl was gone. My porch was empty, but as I looked around, gasping for air, I saw something that made me want to scream. There were muddy footprints, small ones like a child's. They led from my porch around the side of my house to the window of my garage. The window was open. Just a crack, but enough. She had never left. She had been inside my house the entire time. The police arrived seconds later, their lights painting my street red and blue. 2 officers went inside while a third stayed with me. I sat in the back of the police car, wrapped in a blanket someone had given me, watching as they searched my house with flashlights. They found the open window in the garage. They found the muddy footprints tracked through my kitchen and up my stairs. They found my bedroom window wide open, the screen removed and leaning against the house, but they never found the girl. The officer who took my statement was a middle-aged guy with kind eyes. He told me that sometimes on Halloween, people played cruel pranks, teenagers trying to scare people. He said I did the right thing by not opening the door. He said I was lucky, but here's what he didn't tell me until I pressed him. Here's what I had to drag out of him. The previous tenant, the one who left suddenly, she was a woman in her 30s. She called the police one night claiming someone was trying to get into her house. When the police arrived, they found her front door wide open. She was gone. They never found her. The police report said she probably left town without telling anyone, that she had probably opened the door herself and run away from some kind of domestic situation. But the officer looked at me when he said it, and I could see it in his eyes. He didn't believe that, not for a second. I moved out the next day. I broke my lease, lost my deposit, and moved in with my cousin 2 states away. I never went back to that house, not even to get my stuff. My cousin and my dad went for me while I waited in the car. I still think about that night. I still see those black eyes staring at me through the peephole. I still hear that flat, emotionless voice asking me to open the door. And sometimes, late at night, when I'm alone in my apartment, I hear it again. That soft knocking, 3 slow, deliberate thuds, and that whisper, just barely audible through the walls. Please let me in. I never do, and I never will. But I know she's still out there, waiting, watching, looking for someone who will open the door. Someone who will let her in. And once you do, once you invite her inside, there's no going back. So if you ever hear a knock on Halloween night, if you ever see a pale child with black eyes asking to come inside, do yourself a favor. Keep that door locked, because some things should never be invited in, and some visitors should never be welcomed. I learned that lesson the hard way. I just hope you never have to. The invitation looked perfect. Too perfect. My name is Marcus, and I'm 24 years old now. But back in 2021, when I was 22, I made a mistake that still haunts me every single Halloween. A mistake that cost me something I'll never get back. My sense of safety, my ability to trust, and almost, very nearly, my life. It started on October 25th. I was scrolling through Instagram when I saw it. A Halloween party invite that had been shared in my college town's event page. The flyer was sleek and professional, with orange and black graphics, a creepy mansion in the background, and bold letters that read, "The Halloween Experience, October 31st, 10 p.m., limited spots, DM for address." I was intrigued. I'd been feeling pretty lonely that semester. My roommate had transferred schools, most of my friends had graduated, and I was spending way too much time alone in my apartment. A party sounded perfect. A chance to meet new people, have some fun, forget about my problems for one night. I sent a DM to the account that posted it. Within minutes, I got a reply with an address about 20 minutes outside of town. The message said to come in costume, bring a friend if I wanted, and to arrive after 10 p.m. The later, the better, the message said. The real fun starts at midnight. I didn't have anyone to bring with me, but I didn't care. I was going. I spent the next few days putting together a costume. Nothing fancy, just a black suit, some face paint, and a skeleton mask. Classic, simple, easy. Halloween night arrived. I got ready around 9:30, took a shot of whiskey for courage, and headed out. The address led me to a neighborhood I'd never been to before. It was on the very edge of town, where the streetlights started to thin out, and the houses sat far back from the road, hidden behind trees. I pulled up to the house at 10:47 p.m. It was huge. A 2-story colonial-style home with white pillars and a wraparound porch. There were orange lights strung along the roof, fake cobwebs hanging from the trees, and fog machines pumping mist across the front lawn. Music was thumping from inside, bass so heavy I could feel it in my chest from the driveway. I parked on the street and walked up to the front door. It was already open. People in costumes were standing around inside, holding red Solo cups, laughing, dancing. It looked like any other college party. Normal, fun, safe. I stepped inside and immediately felt the energy. There had to be at least 50 people there, maybe more. Everyone was dressed up. Vampires, witches, zombies, demons. The whole place smelled like beer and cheap cologne. Someone handed me a cup as soon as I walked in. I didn't even see who it was, just a hand reaching out from the crowd. "Drink up, man. It's gonna be a wild night," a voice said. I took the cup and drank. It was some kind of punch, sweet and strong, with a burn that told me it was loaded with vodka. I wandered through the house trying to find someone to talk to, but everyone seemed to be in their own groups. I felt awkward, out of place, like I didn't belong. Around 11:30, I decided to head upstairs. I needed a bathroom, and the one downstairs had a line that stretched halfway across the living room. The upstairs was quieter, dimly lit. The music was muffled up here, just a dull thud echoing through the walls. I found the bathroom, did my business, and when I came back out, I noticed something strange. There was a door at the end of the hallway that was slightly open. A faint red light was coming from inside, and I could hear voices, low, whispering. Curiosity got the better of me. I walked down the hallway and pushed the door open a little wider. What I saw made my blood run cold. There were about 10 people in the room, all wearing the same thing. Black robes, hoods pulled up over their heads. They were standing in a circle around something on the floor, candles, dozens of them, arranged in a pattern I didn't recognize. And in the center of the circle was a symbol painted in what looked like red paint. Or blood, I couldn't tell. One of them turned and looked directly at me. I couldn't see their face under the hood, but I felt their eyes on me, burning into me. "Close the door," a voice said, calm, cold, commanding. I stumbled backward, my heart racing, and slammed the door shut. I turned and ran. Down the hallway. Down the stairs. Through the crowd of people who were still dancing and drinking like nothing was wrong. I needed to get out. I needed to leave. Right now. But as I reached the front door, someone grabbed my arm. I spun around and came face to face with a guy in a clown mask. Not a funny clown. A terrifying one. The kind with sharp teeth and hollow eyes. "Leaving so soon?" he asked. His voice was muffled behind the mask. "Yeah, I'm not feeling great. I need to go," I said, trying to pull my arm free. "You can't leave yet. The ceremony hasn't started." "What ceremony?" "I'm just here for the party." The clown tilted his head. "This isn't that kind of party, friend." I yanked my arm away and pushed past him, bursting through the front door and onto the porch. The cold night air hit my face like a slap. I ran to my car, fumbling with my keys, my hands shaking so badly I could barely get the key in the lock. I finally got the door open and jumped inside, slamming it shut and locking it. I started the engine and looked back at the house. They were all standing on the porch now. At least 20 of them. All wearing those black robes. All staring at me. Not moving, not speaking, just watching. I threw the car into drive and peeled out, my tires screeching on the pavement. I didn't look back. I didn't stop. I drove straight home, ran into my apartment, locked every door and window, and sat on my couch, shaking, trying to process what I'd just seen. I told myself it was just a prank. Some kind of elaborate Halloween joke. A haunted house experience that I'd accidentally stumbled into. That had to be it, right? But the next day, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was very, very wrong. I went back to Instagram to find the account that had sent me the invite. It was gone, deleted, like it had never existed. I drove back to the neighborhood in broad daylight, trying to find the house. I found the street. I found the spot where I'd parked. But the house was different. It was abandoned, windows boarded up, no porch lights, no decorations, no signs of life, and certainly no signs that a massive party had taken place there less than 12 hours ago. I asked around campus. I described the party, the invitation, the house. No one knew what I was talking about. No one had seen the flyer. No one had gone to any party that night. It was like I'd been the only one there. Or maybe I'd been the only real person there. I still don't know what happened that night. I don't know what that ceremony was, or who those people were, or what would have happened if I'd stayed until midnight. And honestly, I don't want to know. But I do know one thing. I'll never go to another Halloween party where I don't personally know the host. I'll never follow an invitation from a stranger on the internet. And I'll never ever ignore that voice in my head that tells me something isn't right. Because sometimes the scariest monsters aren't the ones in costumes. Sometimes they're the ones hiding in plain sight. The ones who send you invitations. The ones who welcome you with open arms. The ones who make you feel like you belong, right up until the moment they show you what they really are. I was lucky. I got out. I escaped. But I think about the other people at that party. The ones who seemed so normal, so real. Were they part of it? Were they victims like me? Or were they something else entirely? I'll never know. And that's what scares me the most. So if you ever get an invitation to a party from someone you don't know, if the address leads you somewhere isolated, if the vibes feel even slightly off, do yourself a favor. Don't go. Turn around. Drive away. Delete the message. Because some parties aren't meant to be crashed. Some doors aren't meant to be opened. And some ceremonies aren't meant to be witnessed. I learned that the hard way. And I'm telling you now, so you don't have to. Stay safe out there. Especially on Halloween. Because the real horrors aren't always the ones we expect. Sometimes they're the ones we walk right into. With a smile on our face and a costume on our back. And by the time we realize what's really happening, it might already be too late. I should have trusted my gut when the actor broke character. My name is Emma, and I'm 26 years old. This happened to me 3 years ago, in October of 2022. I was a broke college student, and I needed money fast. My car payment was due, my rent was overdue, and my bank account was in the negative. So when I saw an ad for seasonal workers at Hollow Creek Farms, a popular Halloween attraction in my area, I jumped at the chance. The job paid $15 an hour, which was decent money for me back then. All I had to do was dress up in a scary costume and jump out at people walking through their famous corn maze. Easy money, right? How hard could it be? I started work on October 15th. The farm was huge, sprawling across over 30 acres of land. There was a pumpkin patch, a petting zoo, hay rides, and the main attraction, the Hollow Creek Corn Maze. It was advertised as one of the biggest and scariest corn mazes in the state. 4 acres of towering corn stalks, dead ends, twisted paths, and actors hiding around every corner. My manager, a guy named Dale, gave me my costume on my first day. A tattered burlap dress, fake blood, white contact lenses, and a ratty black wig. I was supposed to play a ghost girl. My job was to stand perfectly still in one of the maze sections, hidden among the corn, and then suddenly lurch forward when groups walked by. The first few nights were fun. I scared the hell out of people. Teenagers would scream and laugh. Kids would cry and cling to their parents. Adults would jump and curse. It was entertaining and the tips were good. Some people would hand me $5 or $10 just for giving them a good scare. But on October 28th, everything changed. It was a Friday night, and the farm was packed. Hundreds of people were there. Families, couples, groups of drunk college kids. The energy was high, the music was loud, and everyone was having a good time. I took my position in the maze around 7 o'clock, right after the sun went down. My spot was deep in the maze, far from the entrance, in a section called Dead Man's Path. I stood there for about an hour, scaring group after group, when I noticed something strange. There was another actor in my section, a guy dressed in a scarecrow costume, overalls, flannel shirt, burlap sack over his head with holes cut out for eyes. He was standing about 20 feet away from me, perfectly still, just like I was. I didn't recognize him. Dale had given us all a full roster of who was working each night, and I knew everyone on my shift. This guy wasn't on the list, but I figured maybe Dale had hired someone last minute and forgot to tell us. It happened sometimes. I ignored him and kept doing my job. But as the night went on, I noticed something that made my skin crawl. He wasn't scaring anyone. He was just standing there, watching. Every time a group walked past him, he didn't move, didn't jump out, didn't make a sound. He just turned his head and watched them walk by. Around 9:30, during a lull between groups, I walked over to him. My feet crunched on the dried corn husks as I approached. He didn't move, didn't acknowledge me, just stood there facing away from me toward the path. "Hey," I said. "You okay? You're supposed to be scaring people, not just standing there." No response. "Dude, seriously. Dale's gonna be pissed if he sees you just standing around." Still nothing. I reached out and tapped his shoulder. The moment my hand made contact, he spun around so fast I stumbled backward. His head tilted to the side, and through the holes in the burlap sack, I could see his eyes. They weren't white contacts like mine. They were real, dark, cold, empty. "You shouldn't be here," he said. His voice was low and raspy, like gravel scraping against concrete. "What? I work here. What are you talking about?" "Not you. Them." He gestured toward the path, where I could hear the distant laughter and voices of the next group approaching. "They shouldn't be here. None of them should." "Okay, you're really committing to the character, but you're freaking me out, man. Just do your job, okay?" He didn't respond. He just turned back toward the path and stood there, perfectly still again. I walked back to my spot, my heart pounding. Something about him felt wrong, off, but I tried to shake it off. Maybe he was just one of those method actors who took the job way too seriously. The next group arrived a few minutes later. 4 college guys, all drunk, laughing and shoving each other. I jumped out and screamed, and they lost their minds, shouting and stumbling over each other. It was perfect. But as they turned to walk away, I saw the Scarecrow move. He stepped onto the path, blocking their way. The guys stopped, confused at first, then amused. "Dude, nice costume," one of them said. The Scarecrow didn't respond. He just stood there staring at them. "Okay, man, move. We're trying to get through," another guy said, his tone more annoyed now. The Scarecrow tilted his head again. That same slow, unnatural movement. Then he reached into his overalls and pulled something out. Even from where I was standing, I could see what it was. A knife, a real knife. Not a prop, not rubber. Real steel that caught the moonlight and gleamed. My blood turned to ice. "Whoa, whoa, whoa," one of the guys said, his hands going up. "That's not cool, man. That's too far." The Scarecrow took a step forward. The guys backed up, their laughter gone, replaced by confusion and fear. "Hey!" I shouted, running toward them. "Stop. What the hell are you doing?" The Scarecrow turned his head toward me, and for a second, we locked eyes. Then without a word, he turned and ran. Not down the path, into the corn. He disappeared into the stalks, and the only sound was the rustling of leaves. The guys stood there, frozen, their faces pale. One of them looked at me. "Was that part of the act?" "No," I said, my voice shaking. "That was not part of the act. You guys need to leave. Right now." They didn't argue. They turned and practically sprinted down the path toward the exit. I pulled out my phone and called Dale. "Emma, what's up?" He answered, his voice casual. "Dale, there's someone in the maze. Someone who's not supposed to be here." He pulled a knife on some customers. "You need to shut this down, now." There was a pause. "What do you mean, someone who's not supposed to be here?" "A guy in a Scarecrow costume. He's not on the roster. He's in Dead Man's Path, and he just threatened people with a real knife." "Emma, we don't have a Scarecrow costume." "We've never had a Scarecrow costume." My stomach dropped. "What?" "I'm sending security to your location." "Get out of the maze. Right now. Do not engage with anyone." He hung up. I stood there, my phone still pressed to my ear, my mind racing. If the Scarecrow wasn't an actor, then who the hell was he? And what was he doing in the maze? I turned to leave to get back to the entrance when I heard it. Footsteps behind me. In the corn, I spun around, my flashlight trembling in my hand. The beam cut through the darkness, illuminating rows and rows of corn stalks swaying gently in the breeze. But nothing else. No one was there. Then I heard his voice. That same raspy, gravelly voice, but this time it was closer. Much closer. "You should have stayed out of my way." I ran. I didn't think. I didn't look back. I just ran. My feet pounded against the dirt path, my breath coming in short, panicked gasps. I could hear him behind me, crashing through the corn, getting closer with every second. The maze felt endless. Every turn looked the same. Every path led to another dead end. I was lost. Completely and utterly lost. I could hear other groups now, their laughter and screams echoing through the maze. I wanted to scream for help, but I couldn't find my voice. All I could do was keep running. Finally, I saw light, the exit. Security guards were standing there, flashlights in hand, radios crackling. I burst out of the maze, nearly colliding with one of them. "He's in there!" I gasped. "The Scarecrow. He's chasing me." They immediately radioed for backup and went into the maze. Dale was there too, his face pale and serious. He pulled me aside and asked me to describe exactly what I'd seen. I told him everything. The Scarecrow, the knife, the way he disappeared into the corn. They searched the maze for over an hour. They found nothing. No Scarecrow, no knife. No evidence that anyone had ever been there, but they did find something else. In the section where I'd been stationed, they found fresh footprints. Boot prints that didn't match any of the actor's shoes. And carved into one of the corn stalks, barely visible in the darkness, was a message. "They all pay eventually." The farm shut down for the rest of the night. Police were called. Reports were filed, but they never found him. Whoever he was, he vanished. Like he was never there. I quit the next day. I couldn't go back. I couldn't stand in that maze, knowing that someone had been watching me, watching all of us, and we'd had no idea. Dale didn't blame me. He said he didn't blame anyone who wanted to leave after what happened. A week later, I found out something that made it even worse. The farm had a history. Back in the 1980s, a man had gone missing during a Halloween event at that same property. He was never found. Some people said he'd gotten lost in the fields and died of exposure. Others said something more sinister had happened. His name was Raymond Crowley, and according to old photos I found online, he used to work as a scarecrow for the farm's original owner. I don't know if what I saw was Raymond Crowley's ghost, or if it was some sick person playing a twisted game. I don't know if the man I encountered that night was alive or dead. And honestly, I don't want to know. All I know is that I'll never step foot in a corn maze again. I'll never work another Halloween job. And I'll never, ever ignore my gut when something feels wrong. Because sometimes, the scariest monsters aren't the ones we pay to see. Sometimes they're the ones hiding in plain sight, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And sometimes, they're the ones who've been there all along, just waiting for someone to notice them. I noticed, and I'm lucky I got out alive. So if you ever find yourself in a corn maze, and you see someone who doesn't quite fit, someone who's just standing there watching, not participating, do yourself a favor. Run. Don't ask questions. Don't investigate. Don't try to be brave. Just run. Because the scariest part about Halloween isn't the fake blood or the jump scares or the creepy costumes. It's the fact that sometimes the real monsters walk among us, and we have no idea until it's too late. I learned that the hard way, and I hope you never have to. Stay safe out there. Trust your instincts. And remember, not everyone in a costume is acting. Some of them are very, very real. These 3 stories are real. They happen to real people on real Halloween nights. And the scariest part, Halloween comes around every single year. So the next time October 31st rolls around, the next time you hear a knock at your door, attend a party you weren't personally invited to, or step into a corn maze, remember these stories. Remember Sarah. Remember Marcus. Remember Emma. Because what happened to them could happen to anyone. It could happen to you. Stay safe this Halloween. And whatever you do, never ignore the warning signs. Sometimes the only thing standing between you and a nightmare is your instinct telling you to walk away. If you survived these 3 terrifying tales, hit that like button and subscribe for more true horror stories every week. Comment below with your own Halloween horror experience, and don't forget to share this video with someone who loves a good scare. Until next time, stay safe out there, because you never know what's waiting in the dark.